What is good, everyone? OJ over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to another PE Nintendo Switch news video. Today, we've got a bunch of great information for you, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Dan Adelman is frustrated with Nintendo over Axiom Verge Switch situation, and he vents a little bit on Twitter. So, Dan Adelman used to work for Nintendo. He was heading up their digital efforts. He's since moved on to other projects and has been very closely tied to Axiom Verge. He was crucial in bringing the game to various platforms, Wii U included. Now, Adelman and Axiom Verge developer Tom Happ have both said that they want to bring the game to the Nintendo Switch, but nothing is official right now. Now, according to some tweets from Adelman, Axiom Verge could have been on the Nintendo Switch at launch. But that is evident from the tweets that he said, where he was asked a question and he said, we need to wait for them to say it's okay. We could have had it out at launch. Now, here's where things get a little bit messy, and that's where Go Nintendo is writing in here, saying that there's an image floating around out there of a tweet from Adelman. The tweet says that he's been trying to talk to Nintendo about Axiom Verge hitting the Nintendo Switch for over a year now. Furthermore, the image shows Adelman calling Nintendo douches. Now, I don't know if that tweet was removed, but for the life of me, I cannot find the final tweet. I've come at it from every direction, and I can't even find a proof of it even existing. I don't know if the last tweet was faked or just deleted quickly. Here's what we do know. Adelman and Happ want Axiom Verge on the Nintendo Switch, but it hasn't happened yet. There's no doubt the pair have been in contact with Nintendo about the title. It would seem pretty obvious at this point that they are having trouble making the game happen, and it's not from a lack of trying. So this is an interesting thing, because it does seem to me like this isn't the only instance to where a developer said, hey, well, I want to put a game out on the Nintendo Switch, or I want to get this out on there, but it seems like Nintendo is focusing on other things. I can't remember what one of the developers said. It wasn't from a bigger developer, but it was from an indie developer, and he said, yeah, Nintendo's not really focused right now on us having the game out on there. I think it was maybe N++ or something like that, but don't quote me on that. But either way, it seems like Nintendo has a structured set as far as what games are going to be coming out at one point in order to maximize sales. Now, I'm not trying to justify what they're doing. I definitely don't think that necessarily it was the best for this type of game, considering that a lot of people really like it, but I can see what they're trying to do as far as maximizing sales for the indie developers that are coming out. Now, each week, we've pretty much had another pretty significant indie title come out for the Switch since launch. We had a lot of great indie developers come out. Then there was like the Tomorrow Corporation's bundle of games, and then pretty much each week we've seen one like major indie game, or week and a half we've seen big ones come, whether it's Mr. Shifty or whether it's like Graceful Explosion Machine, or newer games that really you didn't see on a bunch of different platforms. So it really only be on a platform or two. So I think with Axiom Verge, what has happened is that since it's already on so many different places, Nintendo is prioritizing. Obviously, it would be coming to the Nintendo Switch last, but then again, the same thing happened with Minecraft, and yet Minecraft is coming out. So I think what Nintendo's trying to do is just trying to limit necessarily as much, and really make sure that each time the game does come out, it has its own week to sell or weeks to sell before the next game gets slotted in there. That's what I think Nintendo is doing, and I think they're overcorrecting from what happened on the Wii U when that system launched. And they said, yeah, everybody release everything all at once. Indie developers, third-party developers, everyone. We're just going to put everything on the system at launch, and then like weeks and months that everything went by and there was nothing. So that's what I think is happening, but hey, I do not know. I'm just giving my analysis on the matter. But what do you guys think about this situation? And I don't know about this whole douches thing. I'm not sure if Dan Adelman would say something like that, but I can understand his frustration if he did. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, moving on to the next article here. Toys R Us is getting Nintendo Switch stock on April 28th. So if you're looking to grab a Nintendo Switch and a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Toys R Us has your back. In addition to Best Buy as well, but the retailer Toys R Us has stated that there will be in-store stock come April 28th, but be warned that the stock will be limited, and you might want to get out there in line early in order to get a copy. Now, what they mean by limited is that they're not going to have like 500 of them. They're probably going to have the normal allotment of stock, which is anywhere from 15 to 20 based on what I've seen from my local stores when it comes to Toys R Us, Walmart, anything like that. Anytime I see their stock, I usually see that around 15 to 20 come into stores. So get out there early, especially if you want a Nintendo Switch for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. For those of you who are thinking that, oh, nobody's going to want to buy it for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that is not true. It is going to be a major seller on Amazon. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is number 1 or 2, if I'm not correct. I know it's in the top 5 when it comes to Amazon sales. Nintendo Switch sales are also going up. There's a lot of buzz. Do not take any chances. If you want to get one, make sure you're out there early when it comes to Toys R Us or Best Buy on April 28th. All right, I'm moving on to the next article here. There is a new report coming out that Vivendi is moving forward on the Ubisoft acquisition. So French media giant Vivendi will accelerate acquisitions in video games and advertising this year to allay investors concerns about its strategy, mixed results, and poor share performance, two sources close to the matter told Reuters. Advertising groups Havas and video game maker Ubisoft are expected to be the first targets as Vivendi moves into the next phase of its expansion, the sources said. Now, let me just say this right now about Vivendi. This is a poison company to associate yourself with. They will destroy your company and they don't care. They'll use every single brute force strategy in order to try to get what they want, and they will leave your company in shambles if they have to in order to save themselves. They've done this before with Activision, and Activision's own CEO and private investors, I think, had to pretty much bail the company out, Activision, Blizzard, whatever, and buy the company back themselves in order to dig themselves out of the Vivendi freaking black hole. So I would say this, Ubisoft is fighting tooth and nail to get out of this. We've seen what Yves Guillemot had to say on the matter, and he is not going to back down. They're going to fight this because Vivendi is not a great company to be associating yourself with. We saw what happened to Activision, and it could happen to Ubisoft when it comes to things. So let's hope that this doesn't happen to Ubisoft. Let's hope that they can get out of it and Vivendi can stay the hell away from video games, because Ubisoft, in my opinion, already isn't that great at this point. Now, I know their games sell well, I know they have their market and their audience, but I just feel that adding Vivendi to the picture will become like there's no way they can recover unless they go back to where they were beforehand. So let's just hope it doesn't happen, but it seems like things are picking up a bit, but it's not quite a done deal at the moment. Alright, and moving on to the next topic here. Analyst firm bumps up projected Nintendo Switch sales / attach rate, thinks Monster Hunter 5 is coming out sometime soon. So this is according to Takahashi Mochizuki from the Wall Street Journal. He says Macquarie ups its Nintendo Switch sales view from 11 million to 14.5 million in the FY3/18. Software attach rate to be 2.8 times from 1.8, and expects Dragon Quest 11 in March/April and Monster Hunter 5 in February/March. Now, we don't know about these numbers. Obviously, they're just predicting things. But the interesting thing about this is how he talks about Monster Hunter 5 in February/March. That would be next year, 2018. And that would seem like something that Capcom and Nintendo would definitely want to do right before your fiscal year ends and you drop that big one, which is Monster Hunter, which could definitely improve sales worldwide, but especially in Japan. When Monster Hunter drops on the Nintendo Switch, it will be a big game. It will obviously do very well, and Nintendo and Capcom will make a lot of money and sell a lot of games and systems. But that day, we'll see if it comes then, or maybe even comes sooner. Maybe we get an announcement at E3, although it's Capcom, Japanese company, not sure about that. So maybe Tokyo Game Show is where we get the announcement, and it launches with maybe a port. He says Monster Hunter 5 could be a port of Double Cross. Who knows on that one? Could be a compilation of games. We have no idea what they're going to do, but I would like to see a Monster Hunter 5. I would like to see a brand new game in the franchise, not a port or a remake or anything like that, or just like a re-enhancement. I would like to see a brand new Monster Hunter 5 worldwide release date, and I think that would make waves and actually sell more here in the States, believe it or not. Even though the Switch would have a more limited install base than the 3DS, I think the hype of it being brand new and a worldwide release would really push things to the next level if Capcom wants to make a splash, not only in Japan, but worldwide. Alright, and moving on to the last article here, we do have some more talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is coming from Distify, is it Distify, on Twitter, and he says, speaking of E3, he said that he's heard from a second-hand source, okay, so not directly from the source, but from someone else who has also heard from the source, that we are getting Final Fantasy VII Remake for the Nintendo Switch, and it should be shown at E3 2017 this year. Now, we've obviously heard rumors about this before. This is not the first time that this has come up when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to the Nintendo Switch. The proof, or what people are pointing to, is Cloud and Super Smash Bros., right? Like, why would you have Cloud and Super Smash Bros. If he wasn't going to be a part of Nintendo going forward in the future? That doesn't make sense. The only thing that I can maybe point to is maybe Solid Snake, but even at the time that when they were thinking about Solid Snake being in there, it wasn't very far off that Twin Snakes was right there, and you didn't really know what was going on in the future. But Twin Snakes wasn't too old at the time that they were planning the game when it comes to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So when it comes to Cloud being in Smash Brothers, I do think that that could have a correlation. We saw Ryu come over from Capcom and Street Fighter, and guess what? We get a brand new Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. So I definitely think there is something there. I'm not sure if Nintendo would just put this character in and say, okay, thanks Square, and there's nothing else to that. I think there has to be something that ties to it. You have the amiibo that ties to it as well. I think Nintendo, Square Enix are setting people up maybe for the potentially of the bomb of Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Nintendo Switch at some point. Although it would be weird if it was announced at E3, because you have to remember it was announced first on PlayStation. So at what point do they announce it? They say, yeah, first on PlayStation, but it's also coming to this system, Nintendo Switch. So even if it does do that, I think it's a big win for Nintendo. If they were able to get that announcement, even if it's not coming out for the next year or two, getting that will make people not buy it on PlayStation 4 and buy it on Nintendo Switch, simply for the fact that you can take it anywhere you want without the use of a Vita and having remote play and having an online connection in order to do that. I guarantee you people will say, I will take lesser graphics. I will take that if I can take that game anywhere, because we are noticing with Nintendo Switch right now, even at this point to where it's so very limited compared to the other platforms, people are going out there and buying it. It's not just Nintendo fans that are saying, I want this. We're hearing people who never bought Nintendo, who weren't on Wii U's bandwagon, maybe weren't on the 3DS bandwagon, and said, you know what, I want to get this Nintendo Switch, and I'm buying one. I spoke to one of them on the Spawncast the other day when we talked about that, and I had him explain to me, well, why are you buying? His name is Philip. He has a YouTube channel. Make sure you go subscribe to him. And he explained to me exactly what the appeal of the system was, and being able to play games anywhere is a lot more appealing than people think it is. And people will take downgraded graphics or lesser, or frame rate being a little bit lower. Maybe it's a 60 frames per second on one platform, maybe it's 30 frames per second on another. Well, I can take that anywhere I want, and I can play it more times than I can play it sitting down in front of my TV, because I got a lot of stuff to do during the day. I got to go to school, I got work. I don't always have time to sit in front of my TV and play it, but I have time on my breaks and stuff to play a Nintendo Switch. So that's the one thing that I think Square Enix would be smart in implementing, and really all of their RPGs. There should be no reason not to, in my opinion. But we'll see if this happens. I'm hoping it does, but obviously this is just a rumor. Take it with a grain of salt at this point. I'm not saying this is 100% happening. I'm just saying that we've heard it before, and there's definitely evidence when it comes to what Nintendo's worked with in the past when it comes to Smash Brothers, the Amiibo and everything, that they're prepping us for potentially a game coming to a Nintendo platform in that franchise. They did it with Street Fighter, with Ryu, and we could potentially see it with Cloud and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you ninja for the next video. Peace!